Hi, this is Todd Wagner.
This is Julie Dinko.
This is Brad Haskamp.
Lori Rialt.
Hi, this is Astrid Leiden.
And with joining us today, but we also have Alice Smith and Sherry Eichinger with us. So we have the full ABE team on our webinar today. That's really exciting. So as we look at today, so if you have any questions or want to ask any questions or raise any issues, you can type using the webinar's chat function. You can raise your hand. It's a little hand on your control panel, and you can ask your question over the phone or over the headset during the Q&A periods. And if you have any tech issues, again, just let Astrid know. We have 5 major topics that we're going to be addressing today through our webinar. We're going to be talking about the GED. We'll be talking about transitions. We'll be having some time to discuss the applications for CCRS and the Adult Diploma or Standard Adult High School Diploma. We're going to be talking about some PD opportunities that are coming. And we'll make sure that we'll have some time for grant updates and questions and any general questions you might have today. So we have a pretty full set of topics for our session today. So let's get started with GED. First off, I just want to let you know that this is new. I want to share some new information that's come since the grant application meeting. So this is some new information. So first off, we are seeing an increase in overall testing. We are seeing an increase in test takers, test completers, and test passers. We also are seeing an increase in the no-show rate for students, testers showing up, and we are seeing a decrease in our overall passing rate. So let's take a moment to look through some of that information. So here you can see the test numbers. You saw something similar to this in the grant application meeting, but you'll notice that April is now, we actually had a record-setting month again in April, which is very exciting. So that is our highest testing month yet. And you can see that in the first 10 days of May, we actually outdid any month in the entire year of 2014 in terms of testing. So we're moving ahead, and we're really seeing tremendous growth in GED testing in terms of tests taken. Now, if we look and do a comparison of March and April and the first week of May in 2014, 2015, and 2016, you can see the dramatic increases in each of the areas. And in fact, our year over year, our passer rate continues to double each year, or more than double. So that is really exciting to see. And so we're seeing, in just the course of 9 weeks, we're seeing about 2,000 test takers during that period, which is great, tremendous growth. Now, in terms of the no-show rate, though, this is what we're seeing is that if we look at overall from 2014 and to 2016, we have over 10% no-show rate with the information. But if you look at January and March of 2016, we actually were doing really well. We had just over an 8% no-show rate. Unfortunately, though, from April 1st on, we have seen a pretty significant growth in our no-show rate. It's now at 12.7%. So over this 9-week period, we have roughly more than almost 13% of our appointments are not showing up for their tests. So that is one of the downfalls that we're seeing to our spring, and a lot of folks would say that has to do with both the decrease in the passing rate, but also, or in the passing score, but also because the test is free, or at least the first test in each subject is free, which is probably having a major impact in this issue. And it is having an impact in terms of GED passing rates. We have if we just look at 2014 and 2015, our passing rate was 89%. But in 2016, our passing rate from January 1st till yesterday is at 81%. So we are seeing a drop in that passing rate. So with increased testers comes increased no-shows and decreased passing rates at this point. So some folks have been asking, how long will the GED be free? So there's a couple updates since the grant applications to talk about here. Overall, the first test in each subject continues to be free for testers. And the Minnesota House and Senate both have currently appropriated, or they have bills that would allow for $120,000 in additional to continue the free GED starting July 1. But if we look at that increase in testing, we'll see that at current rates, if this is the amount that's appropriated, the free GED will end likely sometime in fall of 2016. Again, we don't know the exact date because, it's completely dependent upon the number of test takers and how quickly that money runs out. So at this rate, though, we look to see the if that's the amount appropriated, the free GED might end in fall of 2016. So I think you could say that, well, that's disappointing for some folks. Others would say that we're victims of our own success here as we see increased testers and as we bring new testers in. So the other thing I wanted to, that we wanted to follow up on is GED passer information for local programs and local test centers. So just as a reminder, GED Testing Service has sent an email to all GED passers, and it's encouraging them to, with giving some contact information saying connect with your local ABE program to see if you can participate in their graduation ceremony if they have one, or if there are any other opportunities for them as GED passers. So they've been encouraged via email to get in touch with all of you. And also, we will be meeting with GED Testing Service next week, Wednesday, to talk about any potential data options that local programs and testing centers might have. So I encourage you to stay tuned, and as we have more updates, we will let you know. The other piece with GED is GED Works. So this is a reminder that any potential ABE student that would be taking the GED test, or any GED tester that works at in Minnesota, would be either Walmart, Taco Bell, or KFC. Anyone working at any of those institutions, any of those companies wanting to earn their GED, they have a promotion with GED Works where those companies will help pitch in for those employees to earn their GED. The services for GED Works participants include those students get a free advisor from GEDTS that they can communicate with via virtually or over the phone. They get free GED Ready tests and free GED testing. Those tests are paid by, and the Ready tests are paid by the employers. But in order for them to access that, they need to tell their employers that they are working on earning their GED. So we'd really encourage you to note with your students, if you have any students or potential test takers that are working with any of those companies, to talk with them and let them know that they should talk with their manager to access the GED Works services. So I want to ask this, and you can answer via chat or via or raise your hand, and we can ask this or talk about this. Is anyone working with your employees in your area and have GED students that are participating in GED Works? Anyone? So Jill's noting that she talked to the Walmart manager there, and the manager there had not heard about it. So hopefully and this is why GEDTS is asking for our help, because the employers are participating, but you know, it's at the corporate level that they've designed all of these. So now it's been a challenge in that not every store manager or not every supervisor has either read the emails or learned about this yet. So this is why we need to help them hear about it. So if you have store managers that are not sure about it, they should talk up their communication chain, their management chain, to learn more about this option, because all of these companies are participating, and Walmart and Taco Bell both, and I believe even KFC, every store is participating. Every restaurant is participating. And Elise is noting that there isn't, the GED is not currently offered at the International Institute. So if you have students that are working there, you can, but plan to take their GED, if you're doing GED prep or GED testing, you can still work and refer those students to their employers to access the services. And Karen noted that she's not sure about this yet in Mankato. If you're not quite sure yet, what we'd encourage you to do is talk with, maybe reach out to those employers to see if there's anything more that you can do, or to get them aware of this so that when you do have students or test takers, that they will be ready to access this service. And they might even then, not only will they be able to access them as you have testers and GED students, but they might even encourage their own employees to participate in your programming. So we encourage you to reach out to the Walmarts, the Taco Bells, and the KFCs in your area about this program. Well, at this point, if you have any other GED questions, continue to type them in the chat box. But at this point, I'm going to turn it over to Julie to give us a transitions update.
Hello, everyone. I just wanted to mention the Better Together events. This is working with libraries, adult basic education, and workforce development. We've hosted the first two. One was in Roseville and the other was in Mankato just on Monday. And both events were fairly successful. I wanted to remind people that there is an opportunity for small seed grants just to get some collaborations going. And I have put the information on this slide so that it's available to people as a reminder that the completed applications have to be submitted to Sherry by June 15th of 2016. And then the Adult Pathways to Post-Secondary event was held in Duluth on Friday at Lake Superior College. Again, we've received a lot of positive feedback about this event. For those that attended, there was also an opportunity for a small grant, and I've put the information on the slide of how to submit for that. That's due a little bit earlier, May 23rd, and the funding is coming through Career and Tech Ed. The proposals have to be submitted to Jessica Espinoza, and her email address is in this slide.
Thank you, Julie.
Mm-hmm.
At this point, let's turn it over. I'm going to turn it over to Astrid to introduce the CCRS applications, and we'll follow up with the standard adult diploma applications.
Okay, thanks, Brad. So we sent out this information a couple of weeks ago, but wanted to give folks a chance to ask some questions, get some clarification if needed. So just to remind everyone, our approach here in Minnesota with college and career readiness standards training is starting with CCRS Foundations training that introduces participants to the instructional shifts associated with English language arts and math, as well as the 8 math practices. And we've got a number of opportunities for receiving this training. The online CCRS Foundations course that's on the MLC Moodle site, as well as the Summer Institute pre-conference. And then the second sequence of training is focused on instructional planning and classroom practice around the standards. And that's the training that our adult diploma pilots have been receiving this year. Next year, we will be offering a CCRS implementation cohort opportunity. So this will involve program teams working together to learn how to align curriculum and instruction to the standards, and through the year developing a long-term standards implementation plan for their program. We're currently accepting applications from programs. Ideal applications will have 3 to 5 individuals with at least one administrator and someone in the ELA, someone who will follow the math track. We're really encouraging programs to think about sending folks who have some sort of instructional leadership role in their programs so that they can, in subsequent years, either go back and deliver the training themselves or support other instructors and coordinators in the implementation of the standards. Once we receive all the applications, if there is space, and we do have programs that would like to send additional people to the training, we'll open that up. A couple things to note: that programs need to have sent their staff through CCRS Foundations training prior to their participation in the cohort. and all future adult diploma programs will need to receive CCRS training prior to launching their program, since the CCRS are one of the core foundations of that programming. So applications are out now. They're due June 10th. Programs will be notified by June 27th, whether they've been accepted to participate. That information is available via the link that's on the slide here or in the materials section of the software tool.
In addition to that, so not only is the CCRS cohort application out there, but we have an application for the Standard Adult High School Diploma for programs that want to launch in 2017. So the due date is the same date as the CCRS application. It's due June 10th. Programs will be notified by June 27th. And the expectation is that if you want to become a Standard Adult High School Diploma program in 2017, you need to submit both a CCRS cohort application and the supplemental Standard Adult High School Diploma application. The reasoning for that is that programs need to have the CCRS training and standards implementation training in order to be adult diploma programs, because a key part of the adult diploma is being able to demonstrate competencies that are aligned in the standards, and that requires significant training. In fact, our pilot programs would tell you that that's been the most difficult part about being one of the most difficult parts about being a Standard Adult High School Diploma program, and that's why we found that this training is essential for Standard Adult High School Diploma programs. One additional piece, though, for programs that are accepted as Standard Adult High School Diploma programs for 2017, there will be one additional two-day institute for those programs, and that will be May 11th and May 12th of 2017. And this could be for new programs or expansion programs, or even current pilot programs that want to expand their orientation and the adult diploma training to new folks. This May 11th and 12th could have pilot program staff, pilot program staff also participating. We'll send out more materials and information about that as we get closer to the time, but for now, the key piece to note is you can click on the materials section and find the supplemental Standard Adult High School Diploma application, or you can go on the mnabe.org website to find it. But please fill out this application if you want to be a Standard Adult High School Diploma program, a new program or expansion program for 2017. So at this point, we can turn it over and see if there are any questions that you have, either about the CCRS cohort or the Standard Adult High School Diploma applications.
You can send those questions in via chat or raise your hand. We'll unmute you and you can ask your question.
People are really quiet today.
Okay.
Okay.
Let's move on. But if you do think of questions as we continue, please go ahead and chat those in, and we'll get your questions answered.
Thank you. Oh, we did get one question. Someone is saying that this will be an ongoing. If there's an assumption that this is an ongoing training.
Our intention is to continue providing CCRS training in subsequent years. This is going to be a long process as our state learns about the standards and learns best practices for implementing them. So yes, if you're feeling like your program is not ready to launch into this training and you'd rather just focus on the CCRS foundation skills this year, there will definitely be opportunities in the future. I don't know if they will take this exact same format. We'll definitely be revising and revamping based on our experience each year, but yes, there will be trainings available in the future. And
I would just iterate that goes the same for the Standard Adult High School Diploma, that we plan on having one application round every year for new programs that want to expand their Standard Adult High School Diploma programming. Okay, let's talk about PD opportunities, okay. Astrid.
Thanks. So first, just a reminder that we have an ACES Leader webinar coming up next week. These are quarterly webinars that we've been having as an opportunity for our ACES leaders around the state to get together and share what's been happening in their programs and regions and learn about updates from the ACES staff and trainers. So if you or any of your staff have been involved in leading ACES activities or want to get more involved, this is a chance for you to connect with others from around the state. It'll be this coming Thursday, 1:30 to 3. Registration is on the Atlas ABE calendar of events. You can go there to get registered. There'll be an opportunity to discuss some of the work that's been happening recently and a sneak peek at what's coming in the next year. So I encourage you to get involved with that or pass that information along to the folks who are leading ACES work in your consortium. Also, just a reminder, ABE Summer Institute is coming up in August. Registration is open now and available on the MCEA website, and there should be a link soon available on the Literacy Action Network website. Several pre-conference workshop opportunities, ABE Foundations, which was formerly known as ABE New Teacher Orientation, will be offered, as well as 2 opportunities to get the CCRS Foundations training, one in English Language Arts and the other in Mathematics. All 3 pre-conference sessions run Tuesday afternoon through Wednesday morning, with a sleeping break, of course. And then poster session proposals are still being accepted through May 31st. So if you didn't get a chance to put in a session proposal, encouraging folks to share a great idea, share what's working in your program via a poster session. And then finally, I wanted to make sure that you were all aware that we are now looking for ABE program representatives to serve on our statewide ABE committee. This announcement just went out yesterday in our ABE Connect newsletter. We have a group of ABE representatives that sit on this committee that is formed by our supplemental service providers, state ABE staff, and program reps. Typically, about 5 to 8 people serve for a 2-year term, attend quarterly full-day meetings, and work with the rest of the group to shape the PD that is happening throughout the state. So they bring information about the local and regional needs to the statewide committee and then share resources and activities back with their local colleagues. They do receive a stipend as well as CEUs for their participation. And then we select these committee from our applications based on wanting to have a diverse representation from all kinds of roles, expertise, regions, types of programs. So applications are due at the end of the month, May 27th. Folks will be notified by June 10th. Those applications are available in the materials section of your website as well as archived with the ABE Connect PD newsletter. If you have any questions about this or you have staff who might be interested, and just encourage them to contact me and I can tell them more about the opportunity. This is a really critical way that local programs can play a part in shaping the professional development that's offered to the state.
Thank you, Astrid. Now let's talk about grants and narratives. So we noted at the grant application meeting that we would give you some time to ask some questions. So as we said before, current grantees are going to receive a narrative performance and financial report template from us by the end of next week for your first year for the 15-16 year of the IEL Civics Grant. Also note that we sent an email to all, actually Lori sent an email to all current IEL Civics grantees regarding funds for next year. And that email was sent on May 4th. She needs a response by the end of this week about that email. So if you're a current IEL Civics grantee, please respond to that email because I think out of our 13 grantees, I think she's only heard from 4 so far. So if you are an IEL Civics grantee, please respond to Lori's email by the end of this week. Those reports, the narrative, performance, and financial reports, those will be due Monday, August 1st of 2016 here. Originally, we thought it was July 30th, but you'll note that July 30th is actually a Saturday. That's why the date has been moved to August 1st. Then regarding the 5-year narratives, So far, I think we've heard from every consortium that's submitting a narrative this year, and they're all saying they're going to be submitting electronically for this year, which is helpful to know for those of us around the state and also for those of us thinking about being reviewers. Please note also with the 5-year narratives, for those of you, for the consortia that are submitting those, you do need to include tables A and 1 through 13. You do need to include all the tables for the 5-year narratives. Those narratives are due electronically or physically, but we've heard so far it sounds like it's going to be all electronically by the end of the day, June 1st of 2016. Also, our narrative review workshop will be Thursday, June 23rd from 9:15 in the morning till 3:30, and that'll be here at the Minnesota Department of Education. Similar to previous times, the Literacy Action Network will be covering lunch while we're here, and they'll also be covering travel costs for those of you that are traveling from more than 50 miles each way. So the big request that we have for you is we need reviewers for narratives. If you're interested in being a reviewer for the 5-year narratives, you would be assigned 2 narratives to review. Please email sherry.eichinger to volunteer, and we'll ask for some additional follow-up information. We'll need your name, your email, your consortium, and any preferences. But look for an email going out later this week that will ask for volunteers to review narratives. Also, there have been a couple SERVS issues, and so Lori and I wanted to remind you that if you have any new superintendents, agency leaders, or staff that are submitting, authorizing, or dealing with new grants in terms of with MDE for this process, you need to make sure that those new staff are set up in the SERVS system. And that can take a little bit of time and some work to do, so make sure you're getting that done. This is not something to be done on June 1st. This is something that you need to make sure you're working on right now. The person here at the Minnesota Department of Education that can help you establish SERVS access is Melody. How do you say her last name, Lori?
Pomeranke.
Pomeranke. And you can see her number on the slide here, but you need to talk with her if you want to set up SERVS, if someone in your agency needs to set up SERVS access, and they need to request that access in order to be set up. Anything else you want to say about that part, Lori?
No, Brad pretty much covered it. You said Melody should be able to help you through the process if you got any problems.
Perfect. So that means our new annual ABE, there was a new annual ABE grant formula application that was posted on the MDE website on May 9th. This is different than the original application that was posted. This new application that was posted on the MDE grants page includes updated assurances. So if you've started to fill out a different application, you need to make sure you have the current application. So an email went out to all consortium fiscal agents yesterday regarding the new application that was posted. Make sure you complete the newly posted application, the revised application that was posted on May 9th to the MDE grants page. And with the annual ABE grant, it's an electronic submission through SERVS. For that annual grant, you just have to, if you're just doing the annual grant, not the 5-year narrative, if you're just doing the annual grant, you just need to turn in tables A, 4, 5, 7, and 13. I feel like I'm calling bingo right now, but it's A, 4, 5, 7, and 13. And you need to make sure that your staff then have all their SERVS information, like their login, their password, everything. And those applications are due electronically by the end of the day, June 1st, 2016. That SERVS system automatically shuts down or it stops accepting applications after the deadline. So you need to get those applications submitted and signed by your superintendent or agency head by June 1st. What questions do you have about the grant process, whether it be IEL Civics, 5-year narratives, or the current annual applications? What questions do you have about that process? To ask any questions, you can type them into the chat function, or you can raise your hand and we will unmute you to ask your question. While we're waiting for you there, Lori, did I miss anything with the applications?
No, just one clarification on the revised application form. It was just the application form that was revised. The Excel tables that were originally on SERVs have not changed. Those are correct.
Excellent. That's great clarification. I appreciate that. And that the SERVs tables include all of them, correct? It's A and 1 through 13? No, it's just the selected ones. Perfect. Perfect. So it should have just the correct tables on that Excel document. Oh, Amy was noting that for as she was working on this, that you have to have Word 2010 or newer, otherwise it doesn't work. I didn't know that.
Yeah, that's in the SERVs instructions, and so that is correct.
Okay, great. Good. That's good. That's good information to know. What other questions do folks have out there about the grant application? This is the one time where, this is the time now, hopefully as you've started to work on those applications or those through, as we're looking to the next year, that maybe you've had some questions that you didn't have in April when it was just posted. Either no one has questions or no one started their application yet. I'm not sure which it is. Wow. Well, we left quite a bit of time for questions here, and nobody is asking much for questions. So this might be our shortest web chat yet.
Yeah.
I just have a quick question. Lori, do you know if you actually do use a version of Word that's older than 2010 to complete the application, what happens? Does it just not format correctly, or were slurs not accepted?
The SERVs system does not allow you to load it.
Okay.
Oh, wow.
Good to know. Thank you.
And this, but you have to have it in Word. You can't turn it in any other format like a PDF or anything else.
Correct.
Yeah. We did get a question about the new database that would be launching. So Todd, do you want to tell us a little bit, what updates do you have about that?
Yeah, so folks at the MLC and Urban Planet are in good shape in terms of keeping up with our schedule, which is to have the new data system interface available to transition all Marks users basically right at the transition of the program year. And then over the course of, as we get into the next program year, maybe users will also then make that transition. So the new interface looks great and is on schedule. And those of you who are Marks users probably have already gotten some information, some initial updates, and look at the new interface when Mary Zimmerly was doing her trainings earlier this year. And I believe also that Jenny held a MABE training this spring as well, and also at that workshop folks had a chance to look at the new system. So I think Jenny is actually on the web chat, and I'm wondering, Jenny, do you have anything else that you'd like to add?
Jenny, what we'll do, Jenny, is we're going to unmute you. So let's so that way you can contribute or share any additional information you might want to share. So I'm going to unmute you right now. Jenny, are you able to share?
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yeah,
yep.
We can hear you.
Okay. Yeah, what you said is correct. I don't really have much else to update on either. I don't think Mary's also, I think, on the chat here. So if she wants to chime in, we did have some great trainings. I sat in a couple with the Marks users, and we have a few folks out there beta testing right now. the new system. It's very beta, but Mary has contacted some individuals and have them logging in and looking at things. So we're still on target to get all the Marks users over by July 1st. That's the plan.
Excellent. So Mary, we'll unmute you in just a second here, and maybe you can let us know if you have any additional updates based on some of the trainings and some of the work you've been doing as well. So I'm going to unmute you right now. Okay, Mary, you should be unmuted now. Do you have any additional updates that you'd want to share based on what you've been doing? Mary?
Maybe she's away from her desk.
Oh, no, I'm here.
Oh, there she is.
I didn't know I had to push a button. Okay. I just wanted to say, yes. I just wanted to say that we're having a really good response from the people who volunteered to test, and we handpicked a couple of people too on the Marks side, and we started getting feedback, and we're hoping to have more by the end of this week. But the new user training for Marks users will be the last week of June, and it's going to be as easy a transition as we can possibly make it. Change is never easy, but I think people are really going to like the features that are in this.
Excellent. And Elisa Rivas was wondering, is it possible to become an additional beta tester along the way?
Is that on the MABE side?
I'm not sure if she's, yeah, she says MABE.
I'm not sure what Jenny's plans are for having people beta test on the MABE side. I'm just pretty much working with Marks.
Yeah, we started with the Marks folks since they're the first ones who really have to kind of learn this new system. But I've got a few names already of maybe folks who do want to do some beta testing, so I will add Elisa to my list.
Excellent, thank you.
Elisa, what program are you from again?
International Institute, I believe.
Yeah.
Oh, great.
Jenny and Mary, I have one other question for you, which is, I've heard rumors about a possible contest for naming the new data system. Do you guys know anything further about that?
Yeah, well, Eric Nesheim from the Minnesota Literacy Council took on the effort of creating a contest. I'm not sure if he was planning to have it sent out or some information sent out when they do contracts, when people update their contracts with MLC for the data system. I feel like it was going to be along with that kind of communication. So the techies on this team are lacking in creativity, and the names we're coming up with are pretty bad. So we're really looking forward to hearing from the field on this.
Okay, so folks should really watch for that then.
Yeah, that communication should be coming from Eric. I like that answer. Jill Jensen suggested Data McData Face. Yeah, we've had some others very similar.
Is that like Bodie McBoatface from the scientific
I think so.
boat? Yeah. Then did you see Kirsten Fugleseth's comment about training, increased training? So she says that she's concerned that there isn't going to be a more formal training for all ABE staff and not just manager data specialists. She's saying that their first line of data breakdown happens often at the instructional level, so she feels like there needs to be some good solid training for in the new system for them as well.
Well, at this point, the plan was that we were going to do our regular trainings for the data people and hopefully have some good handouts that will allow the data person to then go, and the data person and the manager go and train the teachers and staff.
So it'll be both a user training and a train the trainer type of meeting, it sounds like.
Kind of a joint thing going on at the same time. Not for teachers. We're still gearing it towards the data staff and any managers who are interested in coming. But that's what we had spoken about. And Jenny, certainly you can jump in here if you think that we need to go a different direction with this. But the issue has come up before, and that's kind of our thought at this moment is we're going to still keep the same process, but try to give you enough templates that it will be easier for you to train teachers.
I guess I'd like to add to that, Mary, that that's sort of the plan in terms of getting launched into the new system. But certainly we're aware that there will need to be some ongoing efforts and opportunities for people to get to know what the new system can do and how to use it. And so we would certainly try and make sure that those opportunities, learning opportunities, are available ongoing in different formats, perhaps at regionals, for example, and other settings, ongoing as we go forward.
Yeah, absolutely, and we're available for all of that, as well as like online support. We plan to have a lot more built-in help systems with the system, so I think users will find that helpful as well.
Other questions about data? I know we have a log of 3 other questions about grants and some additional questions, but before we transition out of data, any other questions about the database? Kirsten was adding to her comments and requesting whether there could be a pre-recorded webinar that possibly that could be used as to guide a presentation for instructors on the new database.
Yeah, we could certainly look into that. If at the very least recording one of the trainings or a couple of the trainings that that Mary presents in June for Mark's users and any other future trainings, something to look into for sure.
Yeah, I guess the challenge in my mind about doing a webinar or a pre-recorded session like this is that the trainings are very interactive, so people are actually typing and looking at their own data during the training, which makes it much more, it soaks in a lot better than watching somebody do it on a screen. So that would be my caveat there. I don't want to bore anybody to death, so they just walk away from the pre-recorded webinar.
Yeah, maybe even it could be like a little bit of a pre-recorded webinar with pause points, where then like the local people, like the manager and the data person that have been trained, could kind of do where they actually do the hands-on activities locally. So you could kind of give some instructions in that pre-recorded and then cut out for activity time.
Mm-hmm. That's a good idea.
And Sarah's just noting that Scott's saying that something pre-recorded would be great because they're going to be working with teachers from 26 districts on that. And then Sarah Hoggard is noting that any webinar or any video that's captured needs to also have captions.
Noted.
Any other questions about data before we turn to our three of our other questions?
I just want to thank everybody for making the suggestions that they have and just being willing to give us good feedback and be patient with us as we move into this new phase of data collection.
Yes, ditto what Mary said.
Well, every time that this that the database has gone through a new iteration, I mean, I feel like the robust power and the ability of the database has just increased dramatically. So I'm really excited to see what the new database will look like and how that continues to evolve. So that I really look forward to Data McDataphase. And Becca's just reiterating, yeah, thank you, Mary and Jenny and Garrett and everyone at Urban Planet for all of your hard work.
Thank you. Yeah, we'll pass that on. Garrett is feverishly working today on all kinds of behind-the-scenes data crunching.
The life of data crunching that Garrett.
Yeah. I should say architecture is really what it is.
Mary and Jenny, thanks also for being willing to jump in on the webinar. I'm sure you logged in assuming you were just going to lurk quietly in the background, so thanks for participating.
Sure thing.
Thank you.
You're
I'm
welcome.
going to go ahead and
Thank
mute you guys now.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thanks,
Okay,
Jenny. Thanks,
bye.
Mary.
Bye.
So a couple other questions that we had that were asked, specific back to one specifically about grants. Amy was giving some advice saying, you know, as you read through those instructions from page 1 to the last page, because there's some really good advice in there, or there's some good pieces in there that you really need to make sure you follow with the instructions. She was noting that you know, one thing that she read towards the very end is that you're not supposed to cut and paste within the application. So that's something that she learned as she looked through that. So yes, we would advise you to look carefully through those instructions. The other question then that folks had that came from Jill Jensen is regarding a question for all of you as managers. So we would like to have some feedback from all of you. So let me just pull up her question here one quick second. And I might actually need you to unmute yourself, Jill, to kind of clarify what you mean with your question. Because she's wanting to know from other program managers, how many programs have completed level goals for the year? 0 levels, 1 level, 2 levels, all the levels, some of the levels. So as you're looking at your data, how many of the, I'm assuming what you mean is how many in all of, in the 11 levels that have targets, how many of those have you met the level completion targets? I believe that's what Jill is asking. So if you would just type in your answers, anything that you've noted. Jill confirms, yep, I've interpreted the question correctly. So out of the 11 level targets, how many of those have you met locally within your consortium? 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11.
And if people are noting trends just in their own programs of which areas they're struggling with, might be interesting to hear too.
Excellent.
Levels.
Yeah. So feel free to chat in the number if you know that, and you can also raise your hand if you have any trends that you'd like to share, or you could type in any trends that you've seen locally. So Becca is noting that they're at 4, and they were primarily, the trend that she noted is that it's easier that they've been meeting targets in ABE but not ESL.
And Teresa Zingery notes the opposite, meeting targets in with ESL but not the others.
So Allie's noting specifically with the Neighborhood House program that they met 2 of them this year, and that they found that they're meeting the ABE ones, intermediate and high, and they're finding the most difficulty with beginning ESL. And Adult Options has 3 of the ESL levels, but they're still doing some input. And Metro North met 1 of the targets in Advanced ESL, and it was really close with 2 of the 2 lowest ABE and ESL targets. Thanks, Linda. Jody notes that at half they met 4, and they were all in the ESL area. Any other trends that people want to share or thoughts regarding level gains? Renata's knowing that St. Paul met 2, and overall the St. Paul community-based organizations met 1, but they haven't crunched all their numbers yet. And Jill's wondering, since next year's targets are already negotiated, will there be any renegotiation of level completion rates depending on this year's outcomes? What? Oh, okay. And so my understanding is that those negotiations are fairly confirmed at this point, but I don't think we have confirmation from the National Adult Education Director. But they have not noted at all that there will be any movement based on throughout the year regarding what this year's data looks like. So they don't seem to, they're not considering that at this point. Another trend that they've seen at GAP is that the advanced ELL level has been a bigger struggle. At this point, we'll open it up to any other questions that you might have. And as we do that, I just wanted folks to know that our next web chat will not be until September. The date of that web chat is?
Wednesday, September 14th.
Wednesday, September 14th. Excellent. And that'll be at 1 o'clock, just like this time. Very good. So, any other questions that folks have? There's a question about, is there any way to separate county corrections from data in the future? The feds have not allowed a separation of data within programs. So at this point, the answer is no. But I think community or county corrections will be an issue, an area of concern that we'll need to continue delving into here in the future because of the low retention rates that we see within county correctional programs. Yeah, and Amy's confirming that the 40-hour rule has made it very challenging in the county correctional programs. Sarah Hoggard is confirming that. And then Sylvia's asking kind of a follow-up question about if we're not renegotiating if the targets are not being renegotiated, what will be the follow-up for all of us? And so basically what that means is that as we struggle as a state to meet level completion targets, that means that we are going to, that will kind of affect who will be in program improvement in future years and how that handles. And I think maybe then that will also mean that there will need to be increased efforts, whether it be through PD or through our grant application meetings or manager meetings or otherwise, to articulate how we can better increase retention and look at and analyze this issue and do better in terms of level completion rates according to what the feds are expecting and what Congress is expecting. So I think the question is that it's still up in the air, and we're going to have to keep working on that. So over the past year or two, I know you've been working on this locally, and we've been collecting feedback and collecting best practices. But we'll need to continue. It sounds like we'll need to continue looking at this issue as we continue. But I will note that as a state, we're held accountable to the feds. So if we miss the targets, we go under a program improvement process just like all of you, and so the feds can make extra demands of us during that time, and in terms of how we run programs, programming or grant applications and procedures. So that could be, so we could see an impact for us at the state level, which could trickle down to local programs through this process. And then Marilyn's asking about the valid scores for the test, and she's asking, is it necessary to set the valid scores for the test? And so this is specifically dealing with the TABE issue because CASAS is set by CASAS, but we were looking at data because TABE uses their test for so many different purposes. They haven't set the same restrictions that CASAS has. And so so the process that we had originally taken was we did 2 grade levels from where the median of the test was supposed to be. Median or average?
Two grade levels from the grade level associated with that score.
The grade level associated with the valid score.
Mm-hmm.
So now what we've done is we're adapting to where we're setting valid scores. So based on two standard deviations. So it becomes a statistical task where basically at what point does the data from that test become unreliable, where there's so much variation because it's so far on the extreme for that specific test. And so that is why there's a revised set of valid scores that have been established to try to kind of create that, because when we use these tests, we need to make sure that they're reliable.
And it's a requirement of the feds that we use those valid score ranges and data check or edit check for them in the data system.
See if Marilyn has a follow-up question to that, or if anyone else has any questions. Okay, well at this point we're going to stop recording the webinar, and we will continue to stay online here to address any questions that you have and would like to share or address with the group or with us at the state office. Thank you all very much for participating, and we will see you all again soon, and good luck as you fill out all of your grant applications and go into this spring.